Continuation to the previous shir, the previous two shiurim that we started, the Maimer V'Hanif, which talks about the level of Reach, and specifically the way it's connected to Melech HaMashiach. We continue now in the Maimer to explain the idea of Reach, and what is special about the level of smell, and specifically the difference between the mouth and the nose. And as we said last time, that the mouth, the peh is the shara, the mouth is the gateway to the heart, and the nose is the gateway to the brain. And now the Rebbe continues to explain that in the nose itself there's also two levels. In the nose there's two holes. There is the right hole of the nose and the left. And the right hole is the idea of chayin, life, and the left hole is the concept of chayin, di chayin, the life of life. Now let's try and explain this idea and understand it, and in continuation with the mashal that we started last time. Taking a little bit of a mashal from electricity, from the ideas of technology, to understand the difference between the mouth and the nose, and as such, why specifically in the nose is there two aspects of chayin and chayin de chayin. Let's take an example so we can try and understand it a little bit better. Imagine I have a cell phone. The cell phone has a charger. The battery goes flat. I plug it into the wall. I plug it into the charger. What did I do when I plugged it into the charger? I didn't do anything new. I didn't do anything that wasn't there. The cell phone was made in a way that the battery runs out because it needs a constant strength. It needs something which is going to give it the power to work, and therefore it needs to connect to the source of electricity. This is all part of how things work. I connected to the charger. All I really did was rejuvenate it. I re-strengthened and given the energy to the battery. Then there's another aspect. The battery died. There's a problem in the battery. It doesn't work anymore. Now I need a new battery. I can't just do it in the same way as connected to the wall, connected to the charger. I have to go to a technician, I have to go to someone that knows about batteries to either fix the battery or to give me a new battery. That's because it broke. It's now no longer in this state where I can just continue to do what it's made for. It's made and built in a way that it can connect. Now I have to do something new. That's similar to the example that we explained last time regarding the difference between eating and drinking and smell. Eating and drinking is the normal way that things go. The neshama and the guf are two opposites. One is spiritual, one is physical. In order to connect them together, because they're two opposites, because we're connecting these two opposites, many times the connection becomes weakened. We need now food and drink, which are an internal thing. The sustenance that there is in the food and the drink, the godly spark that's in the food, which comes inside it, which is the normal amount of godliness that comes into it, now goes to sustain the soul. The physical part of the food sustains the body, and as such, they remain together. But if the person, for example, faints, when a person fainted or a person is so weak, it's not enough anymore to give him food, to give him the regular medicine, which is only strengthening that sustenance and that connection. Now he needs to get a new connection. He needs to bring new life from the source of life, and for this one needs the power of smell. Why? Because the power of smell is above. The power of smell is not one that's internalized, that comes into the body. It's one that comes around and therefore reaches the essence of the soul. That's why the soul came in through the nose, the soul goes out through the nose. That's the idea of the soul itself, not just the sustenance and connection. This is actually why in the Maimer, the Rebbe explains, koil, peh, koil, reach, and mare, there's no such a thing as me'ilah. Me'ilah, which is something we learned not too long ago in Rambam, means if someone uses something of hektish of the Beis HaMikdash, someone derives pleasure from something of the Beis HaMikdash, he took something away from it. He ate, he used, he took it, he used it, he derived pleasure, it's called me'ilah, it's stealing from hektish from the Beis HaMikdash. But if someone sees something that belongs to the Beis HaMikdash and derives pleasure from it, he hears the voice, he hears something, he smells the smell of the karbanis, it gives him pleasure. It's not called me'ilah, he's not stealing because it's not something that's internal, it's not something that you're taking something away from it. It's not the thing itself, it's something above it, something around it. That's why since it's something above it, that reaches the actual soul. That's why smell reaches the soul itself. Now, let's go further. Because smell is the idea of the actual soul itself. Because smell is not only the sustenance that sustains the soul, therefore in smell there's two aspects. There's chayin and there's chayin de chayin. The life itself and the life of the life. Which means there's the soul and then there's what sustains the soul. Let's take a look back to our example. If a person will go to the technician will give him a new battery. In essence, it's not something which it's part of it. You needed to get something new, something from outside, someone who knows what he's doing, someone who has the wisdom to understand how to get there from the outside, how to give something new into it, not just how to connect it to something that it was made for. That's one way, bring something new from outside. There's a deeper way. And that's, for example, if you would get this wise person that knew how to fix the phone in a way that it doesn't even need to have a new battery now, but to put into it the energy in the phone itself so that it runs on its own, so that it runs without the battery. That means fixing the phone itself, fixing the thing itself so that it now can run, bringing out the energy that there is in it itself. For that, you need a person not just who knows how to do the regular way of getting a new battery. For that, you need a person who understands how it all works and is able to come to a new idea of something to make it work on its own. Let's look at that, how it is in the soul. In our soul, we have five parts. Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, and Yechida. Nefesh is the most physical part. Ruach is the spirit, the emotional aspect of the soul. Neshama is the intellectual aspect of the soul. Those are all koiches pnimiyim. Those are all the internal faculties and the internal powers of the soul, which is part of what the soul is, part of how a person runs. Then there's Chaya. Chaya is the life of the soul, the essence of the soul. Chaya, however, is the essence of the soul, the way it comes and sustains and gives life to the body. So it's above the body, it's the soul itself, but it's the normal way of the way it gives life to the body. Yechida, on the other hand, is the spark that there is within the body itself. The spark that there is in the soul and in the body equally, that there is in everything, the essence of the spark of godliness that there is in everything. And that's why we explain the following. The right side of the nose. Because the nose means you're reaching the soul itself, therefore there's two aspects in it. The right side of the nose is the sustenance that comes from above in order to sustain the world. In the Lashon of Kabbalah, we call that Chitzonius Atik. Atik is the actual godly light which is above the world. It's Atik from the word Netak, it's removed from the world. Chitzonius Atik are sometimes known as Arich Ampin, the light that comes into the world. both similar ideas in this sense. Whether it's the outer essence of Atik, which means the light, the way it comes into the world, the way it connects to the world, or Arich is also that idea. But then there's Pnimius Atik, which means the very essence of godliness itself. It's not the light that has to come into the world. It's the motor, it's the energy of everything that can come into the physical world on its own. That doesn't have to come from above as a light that comes into the world. It's the same sustenance which can be revealed in the world itself. And that's the idea of the difference between the two holes that there's in the nose. When we talk about the essence of life, it could be the life in the normal way that comes from above and sustains the body. That's what we call Chaya, Chitzenius Atik. And then you have the idea of Yechida. And this is called, in the Lashon of Kabbalah, it's the difference between the right side and the left side, the difference between Or Yashar and Or Chayzer. Or Yashar is the straight light that comes from above, comes down into the world. Or Chayzer is revealing the light, revealing the reflection, revealing the energy in the world itself. That's why it's on the left side. The right side is Chesed, coming from above, downwards. The left side is revealing the essence that's in the world, in the physicality itself. And these are the two levels of that are in the power of smell. The two different levels of the way they come, whether it's in the Makif of Chaya or the Makif of Yechida, whether it's Ur Yashar or Chayzer. Now where is it revealed? Where can the concept of Ur Chayzer be revealed? Where can the concept of this light that's in the world itself be revealed? It's revealed only when there is concealment, when there's something that seems to hold back. That's when we need something higher and deeper. Why? Because in the regular way, if there's nothing concealing, if there's nothing hiding, if there's nothing standing in the way, it's like a river that's running and flowing. It's flowing properly. No problems. It flows. The moment you put an obstruction in that river that tries to stop the flow of the river then must bring out and find in itself a stronger power from within the power of the flowing of the river, and that's what creates rapids. The more obstructions there are, the stronger the river flows. And the same thing over here is that the idea of Or Chayzer, to reveal the actual energy in the world itself that comes when there's obstructions, when it's not able to be revealed from above, when it needs to reach down and deep within itself in order to find something deeper. And that's what we call the Makav of Or Chayzer, the left side. When there's strength, when there's hardship, when there's obstructions, that's when we reveal the depth, the chayin, not just life in the regular way, but life of life, which is the very essence of what everything is. Now the Rebbe continues in the Maimer to say that we can see this also, although the idea of Pnimius Atik, the inner essence of Atik, is something which is totally beyond Seichel. It makes no sense. When it makes sense, when it's something which is according to Seichel, when it's something that intellectually makes sense, that's the straight light. That's a direct light. It makes sense that a light comes from above down here. It's like the difference between the tzaddik and the Baal Tshuva. The tzaddik makes sense. He does everything right. He brings down the light from above. The Baal Tshuva who encountered hardships, the Baal Tshuva who went away from the straight path, now he's bringing and arousing a new and deeper power from within his very essence. That's why he reaches a level that's higher than the tzaddik, because he's revealing the essence of the world itself. So it's when it doesn't make sense. What makes sense comes direct. That's from the right side. The left side is when it doesn't make sense at all. Now let's go another idea. The Rebbe says that although it doesn't make sense, although it's beyond Seichel, yet we see how it affects Seichel also. And that's like this. Take a person who learns something. He understands something. That's like the food. That's like the eating and drinking. That's like the power of the mouth. Like we explained, the idea of moichin. You take intellect, you take the intellectual concepts, you're giving them over to someone else. If the person has no brain, he can't understand it. You're giving over, you're not creating something new. Take someone who doesn't understand. He has to now arouse from a deeper level from within himself, and that's the power of Ratzain. That's called the Chaya of the Neshama, the power of desire. It says, Ein Adam loimed elam makim sheli b'chafetz. For a person to learn, he has to want to. Bring out the want, the desire, and through that the person reaches the essence, the source of wisdom, which is Chachma. The source of the wisdom, and now he can understand even that which he wasn't able to understand before. But sometimes that also doesn't work because there's an obstruction. There's Timtum HaMayach. The heart and the mind are blocked. There's a blockage. He's not able to, even with the power of desire. Then the person needs the power of pleasure, of tainug, which means to bring out his essence. The essence goes not just to what Kabbalah calls the krum, the membrane that's on the brain, but to go even further to the avir, to the air that's above it, above the brain totally. He reaches the essence. Over there's a fire of essence through learning with Kabbalah Sel, because Hashem told me, with accepting that this is the way it has to be done. With that, the person reaches something even deeper than what he was able to do even through Ratzin, and that's the power of Yechidah. Hashem, next time we'll continue this.